Morning all. Oh, wetter than an otter's pocket, but here we go. So I've just jumped in the truck to do this video because I'm doing the horses on my own this morning. I've left their ladyship in bed. Let her keep nice and warm. So I'll do on with Todd. And obviously outside pissing in the rain, the old swipe screen don't work, so I've jumped in the truck. So those that follow me on TikTok know that I do a live on a Friday, or most Friday and Sunday nights. Didn't do one last week. I've got a horrific amount of paperwork to go through. And we changed the format slightly last week for one night. And we're going to do this sort of once a week, where I get an email every week, fortnight from government. As a councillor, we get all that. And it's an invite into Westminster via Zoom. Cost you a bleeding fortune to go in it still. And it's to discuss varying things, environment, food and bullshit really, because it's not going to make any difference. So that actually, last week I spoke to Steve, Farmer Steve, who comes on with me, and Liam, and we made a bit of a decision that we're going to change the format for one night in the week to open the discussion and the live up to what you guys, excuse my fucking hiccups, would like me to bring up in Westminster and that for you. Now, for it to meet my criteria of what I do, it's got to be either farming, food security, drainage, or environmental related. And we had a lot of rain last Friday, 55 mil in a day, and people were flooded. So last week's choice was, can I contact the Environment Agency to basically find out what they're doing regarding rivers and things like that to get sorted out, get them dredged and maintained so that a lot of the surface water can get away. So for guys that don't understand drainage, and I'm not trying to treat anybody as daft and thick here at all, explain a little bit how it works. So I went out lashes it down with rain. Obviously a lot of the land and that soaks up the rainwater soaks through it into the ditches. The ditches then flow to the drains are then pumped into the main rivers. The main rivers are then pumped into a massive pumping station on the coastlines and pumped out to sea. That is basically how drainage works. Now, the Environment Agency have come back to me and said that due to the lack of government funding, we cannot afford to dredge rivers. We cannot maintain them. Which means basically a lot of people's going to get flooded quicker than usual. And here's a prime example of just how stupid this system is. A couple of years ago, there was a river being dredged, done properly, and along came the wildlife lot and said, you must stop this straight away now, because there could be wildlife in that slub what you putting on top of the riverbank. So basically what happens is you dredge the rivers out, the slub goes on the bank sides, water soaks back in, and then all the soil and slub and that what's dug out gets ploughed back into the land. And the wildlife lot turned around and said, you cannot do that because there could be fish eggs or anything in that slub, and stopped it. So the government are actually listening to some sector of the wildlife lot. And you're like, really? How pathetic is that? But then when you get one of these developers put a planning application in for housing, and they're like, well, hang on a minute, we're full. Our systems are at capacity. We can't cope with any more. Even more so now, the EA have said that they can't maintain the rivers. The developer goes straight to central government, and about 9 times out of 10 it's overturned, and that development is allowed to happen, and because the government say they want houses. Well, wrong. My opinion is we've got a duty of care to the people already here, which I think is the right way. We're going to lose everything. It won't be long before the UK is actually fully submerged in water and sunk and actually not here anymore, and them days are coming. Things need to change. So you've got a Secretary of State that overturns applications and says, yes, Mr. Developer can put 25,000 houses on there or whatever, when we know we're already at capacity and can't cope, can't get rid of the surface water quick enough. But what a lot of people don't realise is once all that surface water is pumped out to sea, well, the sea comes back twice a day. It's called the tide, and you're not going to stop that. And when you look around the southeast coastline or all around Norfolk, and see how many of them people's houses and holiday cottages are actually ended up in the sea. The complete cliffs and that have just given way. They cannot cope with that volume of water hitting them, and it's just been washed away to sea. So it's all one big lash up. But that was the answer to the Environment Agency, that we, due to government funding, we cannot afford to ditch and drain rivers out properly. Now, you get these big housing developments. Obviously, the surface water and the rainwater will soak down into the land. Can't go where the housing developer is, because obviously it's built with houses. And every acre of housing, or every acre of building, should I say, creates approximately 10,000 tonnes of wastewater per year. But water can't flow underneath because it's all the concrete footings. So it goes around all the footings and into its nearest place where it can go. So rivers and what in various areas are rising quicker because there's a housing estate in the middle of it which acts like a big dam. You will never ever stop water. Water will find its way out somewhere. So yeah, guys, all these housing developments, everything else what you see, you're looking and going, hang on, more flooding coming, and it's coming quick. And that was the Environment Agency's answer. We cannot afford to do it. And even if they could read in between the lines, 9 times out of 10 now the wildlife lot would stop them from doing it anyway. So we've got some more pressure on with different things to deal with there. So keep Britain farming, guys. We'll keep trying. See you later. And don't forget, boys and girls, TikTok is normally live on a Friday and a Sunday night, 8 o'clock. And the new Facebook page, if you get out a follow, is Tim Taylor Honest Produce. And we cover everything on there as well. Thanks for watching, guys. Please keep liking, sharing, subscribing. See you later, guys. Ta-ra for now.